Hey guys, welcome to another For the Painter Good YouTube video today. And today we're going to have another look at the latest installment in the Ultimate Beginners List series here that we've started off. So I've got some requests here on the YouTube channel here. So we're going to look at Raven Guard today, as that was the most requested one, or the first set of requests anyway that I received for this. So let's take a little look, and there's probably no better place to start here by just admiring how awesome Kayvaan Shrike is. Like, what an amazing character to have brought out. What a total blinder from Raven Guard as well, to be honest with you. Talk about coming out of left field. We went from Kayvaan Shrike to this guy as Chapter Master. Like, what a glow up. What a glow up for the Raven Guard. He's got a really cool different variant of jump pack. He's got multiple really good head options, I would argue, to be honest with you. My personal favorite is the helmet, but I definitely like the hood as well. The hood is really good. Lionel Johnson is good proof that Space Marine can pull off hoods, or hoods, sorry, I should say. I don't know why I said that so strangely, but they can definitely pull them off. It works with power armor. Don't know why, it just works. It's really good. He's in also like a really unique, like modified style of armor as well, which I think looks really, really good. You know, he's got the Raven Guard iconography on there, the bird skulls or all the avian skulls all over it, the feathers coming out of the shoulder, like even like the kind of almost like Asian Japanese style script coming down from the banners. It's just amazing. I'm sure it's in the language of Deliverance, you know, where the Raven Guard are from, obviously, and that kind of thing. But like, what a glow up. Absolutely out of left field. I didn't expect to like Raven Guard this much, but this has piqued my interest now, to be honest with you. I love Subodhan Khan. I think all the other characters are really good, but this was a total blinder, and you could definitely buy this model and just treat them as a once-off painting experience and just go to town on it. It looks so good. So, with this amazing sculpt of their new Chapter Master in that case, let's have a quick look at 1,000 point list then to get people started off on their Raven Guard army. Now, personally, just having a quick look at this guy here, I'm kind of going to be of the impression he can join 2 units in that case. Now, he's obviously a jump pack model by the look from him as well. I'm not sure if that's how Games Workshop will look to interpret him as well, but I'm kind of the impression he's going to be able to join Vanguard Veterans and Jump Assault Intercessors. So, like I did with the Iron Hands list, I'm going to leave him and what I speculate he can join kind of out of this list. Now, I will include 1 or 2 bits as well, but just so nobody's like, well, why didn't you include Vanguard Veterans? My opinion on not including Vanguard Veterans is just, I'm very much of the opinion they're going to get redone soon. Now, you can kit bash your own ones, by the way. You can use a mixture of the Jump Assault Intercessor kit, you know, maybe the Storm, or not the Storm, sorry, the Sword Brethren from Black Templars as well. You could kit bash a couple of them together and you'd get some really cool looking Vanguard Veterans then, the R Primaris scale that probably have the right base size as well. So you can do that. I'm just not comfortable recommending that beginners buy that as a unit to start an army with. It's just not something I'm totally comfortable with. So what I'd just like to say, first of all, actually, is the Raven Guard are really cool. Everybody knows about Raptors. The Raven Guard themselves are a really interesting chapter. They focus a lot on stealth tactics, ambushes, hit and run, guerrilla-style tactics, and that kind of stuff. So this list was kind of fun, because I don't generally build lists in this manner to fit this kind of lore. So it was kind of interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about the detachment that I would play this in as well in that case, which is going to be the Vanguard Spearhead. It'll work in any detachment, to be totally honest with you, but I'm building it as if it's going to be a stealthy Raven Guard army here. So it was really interesting, just from a lore perspective as well. The Raven Guard are really interesting as well. Raven Guard books often get construed that Raven Guard are really bad at being sneaky, but my actual impression of that is that if they just showed you every mission where every Raven Guard action went really well and went exactly to plan every single time, it would be a really boring book. There would be no twists, there would be no drama, and everything would go exactly as it was supposed to go, and that would be the end of the mission. And everyone would sail into the warp all nice and happy, or as happy as you can be in the grim darkness of the far-flung future anyway. That's a boring book. Nobody will read that book. So they have to put in a book where missions go wrong, when characters are challenged, when you see the adaptability of Space Marines, and it's not that they're able to execute every plan flawlessly. It's the tactical flexibility to change tactic and adapt to new circumstances, I think, that are really cool about Space Marines. That's what makes us really good. That's why Ultramarines are a Swiss Army knife every time. But every Space Marine is an adaptable warrior, basically, and that kind of stuff. They're bred to specialize in certain doctrines, but everyone can adapt and everyone can learn new things. So let's get stuck into our Raven Guard army list then, and we're going to kick off here with some characters. Now, as I said, I am going to probably aim this kind of slightly towards the Vanguard Spearhead, like I was doing with the White Scars list, which was aimed at Stormlands. The Iron Hands one was probably more aimed at a more general one that you could pick your detachment, but this one is going to be aimed slightly towards the Vanguard Spearhead. So let's dive into our characters then, in that case, for this 1000 points Raven Guard list. Okay, so our first character on our list is Kayvaan Shrike. He is currently the only named Raven Guard character in that case. I actually have a version of him which I've converted into a Blood Angels captain. I like the sculpt. I like that it's in the Phobos style armor as well. Probably a bit more of the tactical rather than the Grimdark Space Marine that Aethon Shan is going to represent in that case. So, but I do like it. It's a modified jump pack. He's obviously a jump infantry character as well in that case. He offers quite a lot, I think, in terms of his kind of weapons and that kind of stuff. Blackout is the name of his pistol that he's got in that case. It's his ranged attack. Nothing too crazy to really look at there. It's like an 18-inch pistol, 2 attacks, hit on 2s, strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. So again, it'll kill a Marine for every one you get through, which is good. Do you know that way? His melee attacks are a little bit tastier. 7 attacks on 2s, twin linked, precision, and it's strength 5, AP -2 and 2 damage. That's getting a little bit tastier now. That's getting better. That's a good Marine killer. Twin linked is going to be really good. You know, I'm strength 5, Marines are T4. I'm wounded on 3s rerolling. Legionnaires are going to have a tough time against me, I think, here. It depended on if they're not in like different detachments as well. But Chaos Legionnaires are going to have a hard time. Twin linked will give me a slight advantage as well when I'm trying to wound like higher toughness targets as well. So we'll see how that goes. He's good. He's got, 5 wounds, a 4-up invulnerable save, 12-inch move, so he's fast, which is really tasty, to be honest with you. Speed is going to be good in this list, I think. But it's a different kind of speed as well. But he has so many abilities here in this case, and it's his ability to lead things that we like here in this case as well. So he can obviously lead Assault Intercessors with jump packs or Vanguard Veterans. So there you go, Vanguard Veterans in that bracket as well. I'm not including Vanguard Veterans in this list. I'm not comfortable to include them when they're still one of the few firstborn kits around. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't want to tell people to go and get them when 11th edition is running around the corner, probably middle of next year, you could say maybe August of next year. So, and how many firstborn Space Marine kits are still around? Not firstborn, sorry, but you know what I mean. Smaller scale kits are still around, basically, and that kind of thing as well. But back to Kayvaan Shrike here. So Kayvaan Shrike has so many datasheet abilities, which is all really good that we're going to tap into. So obviously he's got like Deep Strike, the leader. He's a lone operative off the bat, by the way, which is really good. And then he also has stealth as well. So that's really good. The detachment obviously gives everybody kind of like a stealth natively, basically, and that kind of stuff. But it's good to have if you want to play him in a different kind of detachment as well. It kind of adds a little bit of variety to it. But there's a few different ones that I like here. So I like the Trifold Path of Shadow is his first ability. So it's while this model is leading a unit, that unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 12. So basically it's lone operative. He gives that whole unit lone operative, which is really good. And a unit having that as opposed to just a single character on his own, that could be really threatening, to be honest with you, and that kind of thing. And we are going to tap into that. We're going to get into that synergy in this list as well, and that kind of thing. The next ability is the Echo of the Ravenspire, which is at the end of your opponent's turn, which is really good, by the way. If this model's unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, you can pick them up from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserve. So again, that's really good. Uppy downy, as it's more commonly known in the game. It's really good. So much tactical flexibility, and he has deep strike as a keyword. So as a core ability, sorry. So he has deep strike. He can come down anywhere on the board. So that's really strong for me. I like that flexibility, you know, especially as a character and that kind of thing, to give that kind of tactical flexibility to a unit. You want to be fast, you want to get around the board, you know, you can play it as a slightly more techie unit if you want that does secondaries as well. You can do all of that with this, but he can be a difficult melee opposition to beat down as well. And you can dictate the terms of where you do your fighting then as well, which I think is really good. The last one then is Inspiring Commander. We are going to tap into this one, which is if you include this model in your army until the end of the battle, non-character models in Assault Intercessor with jump back units from your army have an objective control characteristic of 2 when they're not battle shocked. So that's really good. That means basically all our jump assault intercessors are OC2 natively. It basically nearly makes them battle line, which is really good. So overall, I think he adds a lot to this list, to be honest with you, and so much so actually that he actually is my only character in this list. Actually, I didn't know he did so much, if I was going to be honest, until I looked at doing a Raven Guard list here, did some checking up on it, did some checking on him, and actually he offers a lot. He offers quite a lot of abilities. What a flexible character to have, to be honest, to be able to put in a list as well. Really impressed with him. So he is my warlord for this army. He's really good. So let's have a look at some of the other units. In this list, this is the first list, by the way, they were not actually putting any battle line in the army. I know, gasp, right? But we'll talk about that some more then when I'm going into the list. But basically, to just cut the story short, this detachment has the stratagem then in that case, a deadly prize. So this stratagem basically gives you sticky objectives. So you have to do it in your command phase. Any Adeptus Astartes infantry model can do it. It's 1 CP. That objective marker is said to be sabotaged. It remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it. So that's your sticky objective until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. On top of that then, you sabotage the objective as well, which is while an objective marker is sabotaged under your control, each time an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move within range of that objective marker, you roll a d6, and on a 2-up, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. So basically, you're getting sticky objective and the ability to deal damage on 2-up. That's really strong for me. And it removes the kind of need, I think, for the intercessors, like I said in that game. You'll know by now, I like including generic intercessors in my list. It's just one thing I like to do in my armies. I like sticky objectives. I like battle line. It's not necessary in this list. And I do want you guys to get the most out of your models through the play style that you want to emulate that army with. Do you know that way? I want you guys to enjoy playing Raven Guard and not feel hamstrung by going, oh, I need to do this now. Oh, I need to have sticky objective in this list. No, we want to give you the flexibility to do that, or I want to give you the flexibility to play your way. So that's why I have no battle line in this list in that case. But let's jump on to some of the other data sheets then, because we're going to get into some really fun stuff in this list, and I was surprised at how much fun I had actually building this list. I had some kind of deliberations going on and that kind of thing, but let's have a look and you can give me your thoughts at the end of the video then. So this first one on the list should come as no surprise to anyone, to be honest, given who I just said the HQ character was. But we're going to go with Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack then in that case. So as I said in the Kayvaan Shrike section of this video, he can join obviously these guys. We're going to go with 10-man unit of these guys. 10-man unit, OC2, able to be picked up at the end of your opponent's turn, and the whole unit has deep strike, and it can't be shot at outside of 12 inches because of Kayvaan Shrike's datasheet ability rule, which as far as I'm aware was never overridden by the change to lone operative, which pushed out the range, I think, as far as I'm aware. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, by the way. I won't pretend to be up to date with the latest tournament pack, to be honest with you. I'm not a tournament player. I'm very uninformed with these things, by the way, so please let me know in the comments below if I am misunderstanding anything, by the way, or if something has changed. I'm just literally reading the rules as they are in the app, basically verbatim, as I was informed that the app is always the most recent version of things. So in that case, these guys are really good. This is where I think Hammer of Wrath gets particularly good as well, because for every model in this unit, you could deal a mortal wound on a 4-up then in that case. This is not set to a maximum of 6. As far as I'm aware. Again, might have changed in a tournament pack. This is not set to a maximum of 6. We have 11 models in this unit with Kayvaan Shrike. So you have the possibility of doing 11 mortal wounds. So on the dice, that's maybe 5.5 every turn, basically, and that kind of stuff. If you're playing the odds, then in that case. So the Hammer of Wrath is really good in that case. Kayvaan Shrike obviously makes it so that they can't be shot at outside of 12 inches as well. So they're going to be really hard to pin down outside of close combat then in that case. They're all fast, 12-inch movement here in that case. Deep strike, which means they can be put up and down obviously anywhere on the board outside of 9 in that case. And with that volume of attacks, I know I kind of said in a previous video for the White Scar, they won't do a lot. A 5-man unit won't do a lot. A 10-man unit with a good character leading them could do a lot of damage here in that case. 9 times 4 chainsword attacks, you're throwing 36 attacks at somebody here. You've got your power weapon in there as well, or you can even upgrade it to a power fist if you want then as well. And then again, if you're even looking into the stratagems of this particular detachment then in that case as well, obviously you can give the whole unit precision as well. So if you're targeting like Death Guard and you want to get rid of that character support that's going to make Plague Marines so difficult to kill basically and that kind of thing, then you can do that. You can make that your tactic there in that case. Don't forget as well, by the way, that with your Oath of Moment, because you're playing a chapter compliant or your codex compliant chapter, I should say, you can actually get your reroll to hit with your Oath of Moment and you get +1 to wound. So that'll be really tasty. So that I think this unit actually offers quite a lot in this detachment in that case. I think they're a good kind of bodyguard unit for Kayvaan Shrike. I think you'll find that they're extra flexible as well, basically, and that kind of thing. They're really going to be extra flexible, and even using the sticky objective stratagem in this detachment as well, they can get up, pinch that objective really quickly, sabotage it, and they get picked up at the end of the opponent's turn, basically, if you're worried about them getting kind of hunted down in the next turn. And that speed and that flexibility, I think, will just make these really difficult to shoot as well. And of course, playing the Vanguard Spearhead detachment, your whole army is -1 to be hit if they're getting shot at outside of 12 as well. So they can't be shot outside of 12, but even if you could, they were -1 to be hit anyway. So really good. This is kind of, I nearly think this is the battle line of the squad effectively, because it's OC2 as well. So, you've got OC21, because Kayvaan Shrike has 1 as well. So that's going to be hard to get rid of as well, basically, and that kind of stuff. But I think this unit lets you really dictate the flow of the combat as well, which is really good. Next up, we've got 2 squads of 3 Eliminators in that case. So I quite like Eliminators, actually. I have some of my Crimson Fists as well. One of the things I really liked in 10th edition was that you can give the whole squad las fusils. I really liked that, to be honest with you. In 9th, you used to only be able to give one of them a las fusil, and it used to always have to be the sergeant, and you'd have to dictate between giving them one or the other, basically, in that case. So I really like these guys. They've got Infiltrators, which means they can obviously be placed anywhere on the board. They've got Stealth, which is really good as well. The las fusils offer you a bit of anti-tank as well. Just for those of you interested as well, they do obviously have the Bolt Sniper Rifle and the Instigator Carbine. But the las fusils, what interests me, they each will get 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 9, AP -3, and D6 damage. Don't forget as well that they are heavy as well. So if you don't move, you're going to hit on 2s. Which synergizes, by the way, really nicely with their datasheet ability in that case. And the datasheet ability is called Mark the Target, and it's each time this unit remains stationary until the start of your next movement phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit have devastating wounds. So that would be 3 las fusil shots with devastating wounds. I think that's really effective, basically, and that kind of stuff. D6, as always, is very swingy. It can go either way. It's the luck of the dice gods effectively here. But I do think that they're really good. 6 of them as well helps to remove some of that chance as well. They should hopefully be able to, if you put Oath of Moment on a target, for example, here in that case, you should be able to get those 6 las fusils at least hitting in that case if you don't move, and hopefully with a bit of luck you'll get some devastating wounds through there as well. So they should hopefully be able to take down some heavier targets as well in that case. I won't lie, this list is not specifically designed for anti-tank. I've added a couple of little anti-tank elements into it. These would probably be okay for character snipers as well, potentially in that case, but these would be one of the sources of anti-tank that I've put in this list as well in that case. So they're really good, and they play into the fluff of the list as well. They play into this narrative theme, the sneaking theme of this list, that way. And this will fit both for Raven Guard and for Raven Guard successors. We all know about Raptors. We all love the Raptors. That army green paint scheme is so good and that kind of thing. So don't be afraid, these can get thrown in here and that kind of stuff as well. So they're really good. Overall, 2 units of 3 of these will just give you a little bit of board presence in places you didn't think you would as well then. And again, you can play into the detachment as well a little bit, the Vanguard Spearhead, where you can pick some units up at the end of your opponent's fight phase and put them down on the board somewhere else. And because we've got the stealth as well as the detachment rule and that kind of stuff, it gives us a little bit more survivability as well. So that is the Eliminators in this case. Next up, we have, I guess, what you could call kind of almost like a battle line. These are probably the most normal looking Space Marines in this whole list, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. And it is the Infiltrators in that case. I like Infiltrators. I really like Infiltrators more than I like Incursors, to be honest with you. It's a helmet design thing. I'm more of a fan of the Infiltrator style of helmet. I know it's the same armor mark, and I know you could just run your Infiltrators as Incursors, but it's just a point of principle for me, really. They're kind of standard Marine body in that case, the T4, 3-up save, 2 wounds, OC1. That Marksman Bolt Carbine can be handy in situations. You can obviously get it to hit on 2s if you stand still, which is really good. Not really any pip of AP on there though. Only 1 damage as well. So in that sense, it is obviously not really a particularly powerful unit damage-wise. But what we actually want for these guys is, these guys are going to play what I would think a similar role to the Intercessors would play in our other list then. So these are our backfield holders in that case. Yes, they have Infiltrators. You can put them on the board and do that if you want. There's a lot of stuff you could kind of do with these guys actually, to be honest with you, such as the flexibility in this list. But the main thing that I like them for is the ability to say that battlefield reserves cannot be set up within 12 inches of them. So you can't deploy within 12 inches of them. So that is really tasty. That is really, really good, basically, and that kind of stuff. So no deep strikers in your backfield within 12 of them. No kind of backfield threat coming in at the last minute here in that case. You could also play this a different way, I think. You could play them as a whole game backfield holder, or the other way that you could play them is they're an Infiltrator. You spend 1 CP to make the objective sticky, you pick them up at the end of your opponent's fight phase, then the following turn, and you deploy them back in your backfield, and that's your backfield protector, basically, and that kind of stuff. And then you don't have to stay on that objective, but you can still score victory points for it, and you can still make your way up to it. So I think that's particularly useful. I think there is flexibility to be had in units like this. I have a 10-man unit of these for my Crimson Fists, and the reason I went for 5 with this particular one is sometimes I find the 10-man is kind of harder to hide, I think, a lot of the time. So obviously there's lots that we can do here in that case. They'll obviously get the benefit of the detachment in that case as well, so it's really good in that sense. And I think these are kind of our most normal looking Marines, so these would fill that almost troop role in that case as well. So let me know what you think about these guys, because I actually really like this mark of Marine armor. I like the Phobos armor, as you said, tactical rather than grimdark, but I quite like them personally. So for the next unit on this list, we're going to have a look at the Invictor Tactical Warsuit then in that case. I kind of think this one is potentially a bit of a sleeper for a lot of Space Marine armies here in that case, but it suits the Raven Guard needs perfectly, I think, in that case. It's kind of like a slightly more stripped back Redemptor chassis and that kind of stuff. I kind of like to think that they're obviously a little bit easier to produce as a result, and obviously they don't need to put a Space Marine in a sarcophagus to man it. So I think that's kind of really cool, to be honest, and that kind of thing. Main thing we like here is that it plays into the fluff of our army here. In that case, it's obviously lighter and more stripped back, which means it's faster and a little bit stealthier as well in that case, or as the lore goes anyway. It does give us an 8-inch scout move as it's the first part of its ability, which I think is really good, to be honest with you, in that kind of thing. This is a big enough kind of vehicle or warsuit after all in that case. Just to give you a quick rundown of his profile, it's an 8-inch move, toughness 8, 3 up save, 12 wounds, 6 up leadership, and OC 4. So it's really good in that sense. I think he's pretty decent, to be honest, in that case as well. The scout, by the way, we are going to run 2 of these in the army then in that case as well. So that scout becomes quite good when we've got 2 of these coming up the board. You think we've also got the likes of Kayvaan Shrike trailing behind them with the jump pack assault intercessors as well in that case. You could have a lot of really early mid-turn board presence with this army and that kind of thing as well. So I think that's really good. Tie that in with all our infiltrators, making objectives sticky. Your opponent's going to have to come and take them back from you, so they're going to have to try and close that gap with you eventually, or you're going to run away with the primary in the mission as well. And then just kind of in keeping with the fluff of this list as well, we're obviously striking from the shadows, coming from like with our scout movement as well in that case. If you did choose to be a little bit more aggressive with the infiltrators as well, I do also like his datasheet ability, which is Vanguard Support, which is once per turn in your opponent's shooting phase when a friendly Adeptus Astartes Phobos infantry unit within 6 inches of this model is selected as the target of an attack. This model can use this ability. If it does, after that enemy model's unit has finished making its attacks, this model can shoot as if it was your shooting phase, but when resolving those attacks, it can only target that unit if it was an eligible target. So in that sense, I think that's really useful in that case. Correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously it says once it's finished making its attacks, so I would believe that would happen before it does any kind of like strike and fade movements and that kind of stuff as well. So that's pretty good. We do have a big, twin Iron Hail autocannon in there as well, so you're hitting on 3s with 3 attacks at strength 9, AP -1, and flat 3 damage as well with twin linked. So that should be pretty good. If you're slapping Oath of Moment on there as well, then Oath of Moment is going to be a good leveler across the whole army basically in that case. Strength 9 is now going to be wounding on 4s anything less than toughness 18, so that's going to be really good in that sense with a +1 to wound then in that case. So while we're not a super big anti-vehicle army here, Oath of Moment kind of helps us level the playing field a little bit in that case as well. So that should be really good in that case. And as I said, I like 2 of them because you just push 2 of them up. His actual Invictor Fist, by the way, is really good, I think, for killing more elite infantry models as well. 5 attacks, it's weapon skill 3, strength 14, AP -2, and flat 3 damage. Strength 14, like what a punch. Like what a punch to have basically and that kind of stuff. Really good, that way. He'll wound a lot of stuff on 2s most of the time, to be honest with you. So I think that's really tasty as well. And I don't think his melee ability is to be understated either, to be honest with you. Maybe lacking on the attack side of things, but the profile is good. Flat 3 damage at strength 14 is good, and the AP -2 will put most things onto their invulnerable saves as well. So when you make it a 50-50 chance, especially against like Terminators and that kind of stuff, anything can happen, to be honest with you. So it's really good. He can obviously take a big variety of weapons, which is useful as well. But that main thing that we're looking for is the Invictor Fist is the damage repellent for close combat, or the deterrent for close combat. The scout movement gets us up the board, and then he's fast enough already. 2 of these guys, I think, makes it a little bit interesting as well, because it becomes a bit of a choosing game for your opponent where they're going to dictate that firepower as well. So next up on the list then, we've got 2 5-man scout units then. I actually quite like the scouts, to be honest with you, overall. They're not a unit I personally own myself, actually, to be honest with you, but I do genuinely like them as a choice for this army, actually, and that kind of thing. Remember, that main theme that we go back to for the Painter Good is make sure you're playing in keeping with the lore and the fluff of your army. Play the way that you want to play the game, and that'll always end up in you having the most fun most of the time. So but yeah, I really like the scouts overall. Just jumping into their profile, 6-inch move, toughness 4. a 4-up save, so slightly worse than normal on the save, 2 wounds, 6-up leadership, and OC1. The key part that I think these guys offer, the core datasheet abilities, are particularly good. We're looking at the Infiltrators ability here. So again, like our actual Infiltrators, we can we can get up the board here nice and early, sabotage an objective, make it sticky, and then we can pick them up off the board and that kind of stuff and put them back in strategic reserve. So that tactical flexibility is so good to have as Space Marines and that kind of thing. You get so flexible. You basically become nearly like Grey Knights, where you're picking stuff up off the board every turn and putting it back down later, which is really useful to have. Also, a Scout 6-inch move is nice as well, getting that movement before the first turn has even started as well. You know, if you think you've overextended slightly, or you know, if something in deployment has changed your way of thinking and that kind of stuff, then that's always really useful to have as well. On top of that, then you've actually got the actual datasheet ability, then the actual specific one, which is at the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is more than 6 inches away from all enemy models, you can remove this unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. So flexible again. We're going back to that tactical flexibility every single time. The more we can tech into that, the more these units are going to last longer. We're taking them out of opponents' firing lines, where we're dictating our own movement and our own flexibility in the game here, and we're luring the opponent into that kind of coming to where we want them to come to take things back, basically, and that kind of thing. And again, so in keeping with the Raven Guard, we're laying the trap with the sabotaging of the objective. You know, you can build around getting ready for a big punch at one of those objectives effectively here. You know, Kayvaan Shrike with a big 10-man jump assault intercessor squad with an Invictor warsuit. You throw the other Invictor warsuit on the other side with the Eliminators ready to snipe anything that comes around. That's a lot of firepower that you can pin on those midfield objectives here, and those Infiltrators will keep things from deploying in your backfield as well. So that's really good. 2 5-man units of these I think is key, just because they are a little bit squishy, you know, so they're not built to last like normal Space Marines at all, and we already know that normal Space Marines don't last particularly long either in that case as well. We've obviously got Armor of Contempt. We build into our detachment rule with the -1 to be hit as well in that case, and there's so much flexibility that this offers with movement and that kind of thing as well in particular. So they're really good. Just, I want to touch on their weapons as well, because I actually didn't realize they could take so many weapons, if I'm going to be honest with you. The heavy bolt are great for cutting through the chaff. Obviously, the crack missile launcher, great for some anti-tank as well in that case as well in there. You can get loads of little sources of anti-tank. So while we don't have like a dedicated anti-tank unit, maybe outside of the Eliminators, I quite actually like the way that we have little pockets of anti-tank scattered around the army. So if you put Oath of Moment on one big anti-vehicle target, little pockets in certain units can take pot shots at that, which I think is really, really useful to have actually in that kind of case as well. Because even if, you know, if you're playing another Space Marine army and use Armor of Contempt, they can only use it on one source of anti-tank. You know, that way, because of the way Armor of Contempt works now. So I think that's really useful to have. I think these are a great unit as well, by the way. The whole striking from the shadows, picking them up and putting them back down again. They can't pin us down, and that's what we want as Raven Guard. We want to be able to strike and then fade back into the shadows, and that's what we're doing in this case, and that's what I think is really cool about this army actually. And I don't generally build Space Marine armies in this way, but I've gotten sucked more and more into this playstyle as I've been doing it, and I really like it as a playstyle. I think at 2,000 points you'd add in a few extra resources to have in certain places to shore up some of the weaknesses of the list, but at 1,000 points, the movement you can do with this list is absolutely insane with it picking stuff up and putting it back down. It's so flexible, it's such a hard list to pin down, and I think anyone that's playing it might have a bit of a mare, but anyone that's using it will have a lot of fun, to be honest with you. So let me know what you guys think. But with that, we're going to jump on to the final unit in this list. So the final unit in this list is going to be a unit of 3 suppressors. So I think the suppressors are really good, but I do want to touch on them. They obviously have a couple of weaknesses here and that kind of stuff as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but is the Vanguard Task Force the only place to buy suppressors? I searched suppressors on the Games Workshop website, and they do not come up for me at all here. The only thing that comes up is the Vanguard Task Force. I'm really shocked if that's the case, to be honest with you. Just on a side note, by the way, If you did buy a Vanguard Task Force box set, by the way, and I'm not advocating that you do, you would have all of the Eliminators. If you bought 2 of them, you would have all the Eliminators for this. You would have your 5-man Infiltrator squad, and you could probably proxy the other Infiltrators as scouts. So just a little word there if you're wanting to look for discount box sets for this army as well. But let me jump into these guys then quickly. So the 12-inch movement, so these guys are fast. These are fast boys indeed. Toughness 4, 3 up save, 2 wounds, 6 up leadership, and OC 1. So a very standard marine body. It's not like the Gravis, it's not like the Inceptors, which are in Gravis. It's not like any of that at all, basically, in that case. So they're obviously all equipped with the accelerator autocannons in that case as well. 3 shots apiece, hit on 4s at strength 8, AP -1, 2 damage. Again, I've already spoken about how Oath of Moment is the great leveler of our slightly weaker anti-tank variety here in that case with the +1 to wound. And obviously there's such flexibility with movement shenanigans in this army as well that you can really pick and choose when you want to reveal yourself to your opponent and hone in on that Oath of Moment target and then try and pick yourself back up and move them away. You do probably have to survive your opponent's turn most of the time is the thing, but they'll also only have so many assets to try and pick you back off as well as a thing. So you will always get to pull some things away into strategic reserves, even if some stuff doesn't survive. So I think that's always good. And to be honest, there's nothing more annoying than seeing one suppressor still standing and he's the one that scores behind enemy lines, is there? So, anyway, I think he's really good. If you chose not to play Vanguard Spearhead, I think there's a really good place for these with obviously their datasheet rule, which is the suppression fire. So, in your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks with an accelerator autocannon until the start of your next turn. While this unit is on the battlefield, that enemy unit is suppressed. While a unit is suppressed, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So really good. I think that's quite useful if you don't play towards the Vanguard Spearhead. It leans more into the survivability of the army as well, making things -1 to hit as well, which is really good. And then, of course, we've got our core rule of Deep Strike as well. And guys, you know from the past 2 videos, you know I love a good Deep Strike unit. You know I love that kind of, that turn 5 Deep Strike can come in so handy, or that turn 4 Deep Strike can come in so handy, to be honest, and that kind of stuff, especially when you're picking stuff up and putting it back down in strategic reserves. It can come in so handy. It's so useful to have, to be honest with you, and that kind of thing, especially when you're doing uppy downy the whole time and that kind of thing. It becomes really hard to deal with, and your flexibility, I keep using that word, it's probably, somebody could give me a word count on how many times I've done flexibility here, but it's really good. I really like that kind of overall theme with this army, basically. Now guys, that is the last unit in this list, by the way, actually, is the Suppressor here. I just want to go over the list one final time here in that case. But before I do, I just want to have a quick word, obviously, about Aethon Shan. So obviously, Aethon Shan will be coming out soon. At this time, on the 24th of August. It is just before the pre-order article is going to go live. So I don't know if he's coming out this weekend or not, or the following weekend, I should say. But I would be curious to see what he can join, first of all, if he can join anything at all. I would think he'd quite similar to Kayvaan Shrike in the sense that he could probably join Assault Intercessors with jump packs or jump Assault Intercessors. And then the other thing as well, potentially, is he might be a lone operative. He might not join anything. But I'm just not comfortable recommending Vanguard veterans to people. We're getting so close to the end of the edition. I reckon it's August next year. I reckon it's this time next year the new edition will launch, which means that we're getting close to the end. I can't recommend that people buy firstborn models. If you do, please go ahead and do it. I will not absolutely discourage you from it, but I cannot in good conscience recommend that people do it. That's just my own viewpoint. No matter how good the rules are, I won't recommend that people buy models that I think are going to be updated very soon. So I love it or hate it. That's the way I'm going to go with this in the video anyway in that case. But so just to get off of that negative and back to the list, which I hope is a good positive for you guys, I'm going to summarize the list here. So first of all, for our characters, we've got Kayvaan Shrike. Kayvaan Shrike will be leading 10 Assault Intercessors with jump packs. We've got 2 3-man Eliminator squads. We've got 1 5-man Infiltrator squad. We've got 2 Invictor tactical warsuits, 2 units of 5 scouts, and then 1 unit of 3 suppressors then in that case. That is the total list. It is 995 points. So I've not left any wiggle room here for enhancements in this list. But as I always say, guys, these lists are just my opinion. Please feel free to chop and change, add anything you like, and throw down in the comments below. Let me know, like, have you had some really unlucky times with units in this list and it's just totally put you off using them in the future? Should I have maybe not geared it quite so much towards Vanguard Spearhead? Should I have actually tried to go a little bit more generic in that approach? As always, I've just tried to build a list that I think is in keeping with the theme of the army and with the fluff of the army and whatever facilitates that playstyle. But guys, as always, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great rest of your day then. Please like and subscribe. Happy Warhammering, and thank you very much. Goodbye.